When I was 12, a Beatles tribute band played at my school. By then, I had been playing guitar for about a year, and I loved the Beatles, but I didn't know much about them. That very day, my grandma, who was traveling, called to ask what I wanted her to bring me. Without hesitation, I said I wanted a Beatles record. She brought me Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Cool, I thought, but where's Yesterday, Let It Be, or Help? I didn't know a single song in this album. That record stayed in my drawer for a few more years, gathering dust. It wasn't until I was 15 that I started really getting into the Beatles. That was also when I realized I wanted to be a professional musician. I spent countless nights listening to their music and reading about them. I became obsessed. The more I learned about music, harmony, and production, the more I appreciated how much they had impacted the world and revolutionized modern music. For years, I could talk about nothing but John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. Thank God my best friends also shared my passion for the Fab Four. The Beatles weren't just a band, they were an entire universe of creativity, innovation, and musical brilliance. They wrote the rule book on how to be a band, then tore it up and rewrote it over and over again. Their songs, from the raw energy of I Saw Her Standing There to the layered complexity of A Day in the Life, showed me that music could be anything you want it to be. When I was 21, I decided to move to London and become a full-time musician. I didn't have a plan, nor did I have much money. I just knew I wanted to live in London and make music. So I packed my bags and my guitar, quit my job, dropped out of uni, left my girlfriend, and moved to London. What do you think was the first place I visited? Of course, it was Abbey Road Studios. Here's a picture from that day. The happiness I felt is indescribable. I was standing right there where the Beatles recorded most of their music. All the records I grew up listening to were made right there. I was literally crossing the street where they took the famous photo they used for the Abbey Road album cover. Little did I know that my connection with Abbey Road had only just begun. As I settled in London and began paying my bills by playing in the streets, I discovered the Abbey Road Institute, a music production school right there in the famous studios. It seemed like a dream. It wasn't cheap. But by playing in the streets and with a little help from my parents, I spent the most amazing year studying music production and sound engineering at the very place where all my favorite records were made. Every day felt like a surreal continuation of the Beatles' legacy. Stepping into the legendary Studio 2, playing the same pianos they once touched, and then there was the day I caught a glimpse of the living legend himself, Sir Paul McCartney. An encounter that nearly left me breathless. After 4 years of relentless gigging and honing my craft in the streets of London, something incredible happened in 2021. A visit to Paul McCartney's house in St. John's Wood inspired me to create a video, sharing the rich history of the place where magic happened during the Beatles' most exciting years. To my surprise, the response was overwhelming. That moment marked the beginning of a project that connected Beatles fans worldwide through my journeys to various Beatles landmarks. A few months ago, I published my first book, called From the Cavern to Abbey Road. It's the next chapter of this joyous expedition. The book, a result of months of meticulous research and heartfelt writing, takes you through the Beatles' story by weaving a narrative around the very places where history unfolded. Divided into 4 sections: Liverpool, where the Beatles grew up; Hamburg, where they transformed into an extraordinary band; London, where they lived the most thrilling years; and Here, There and Everywhere, exploring iconic Beatles landmarks globally. The Beatles weren't just the best band in the world, they were pioneers. They redefined what a band could be, experimenting with sound, pushing the boundaries of popular music, and bringing an unmatched level of artistry to everything they did. Their influence is everywhere, from the way music is produced to how it's experienced by fans. They taught me that music is about more than just notes and rhythms. It's about telling a story, expressing emotions, and connecting with people on a deep, almost spiritual level. This is the story of my journey loving the Beatles. How could I not love them if they made me who I am?